Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. It's another wonderful day in the life of Equity Story, and it's just general share advice and not personal advice. And you know what, Wolf? You and Claude came up with some really good ideas yesterday, right? Yeah. Well, and your little have, right? I mean, I would have if you could close your eyes, lock it away, go on holiday for a year and come back. This one, it might not do anything for a year, but then bang, it could go, right?
Yeah, well, this is the interesting position this company is in, right? Well, I talked about it yesterday as a pretty undervalued, hiding an extremely interesting asset on its books, which Oz Minerals is interested in, right? So I went and deep dived into it, had a look at it, see what they come up with back in 2019 when they did their feasibility study. It looked very promising, and that's why Oz Minerals, I can see why they're interested, because they use some very conservative numbers in that initial study. So I can see if there's an update, say today, right? If they updated today, this project could be worth double than what it was like only 4 years ago, right? So this is why I'm saying, this is why probably Oz Minerals is interested, why I'm interested, and why this is possibly a very good copper play. Saying that, what are the catalysts? This is the difficult part. I don't know.
Listen, I'm copper copper gold could be the stories of this year, right? So,
yeah. This project is about copper gold. This is it.
Yeah. No, hey, listen.
Let me just quickly reiterate. It's got more than 1 million tons of copper. Normally, Dave, when I spoke about it yesterday, 1 million tons of copper. This is when the big majors start looking at your projects, right? 1 million plus tons of copper. This is probably one of the largest undeveloped copper projects in Australia, right? So it's actually significant what they've got there. Second of all, 3+ million ounces of gold, Dave. So this is not something tiny. This is actually a substantial project. That's why Oz Minerals.
Well, and the market cap's only 100 million.
I know.
That's a good find. Why do you put that on the show with Claude, not save it for me? And then Claude puts out COS. This is our stock. What's he doing? Stealing our story.
He's pretty good.
No. It's because he's watching Equity Story now, so he's stealing all our ideas. But you had another one as well, which was SOC.
SOC, yeah. So SOC was the early comer, right? That's only been listed, but obviously great start to its life. Look, it's up from its listing price already 35 cents. So it's in a similar vein to COS. What Claude was saying, and again, maybe it's a bit early to start with, but put it on your watch list, and maybe within the next 3, 6, 12 months, we could start looking at this seriously.
All right, Wolf, there's not too much to talk about today, but there's some things that are quite interesting. Now, you talked about Gore.
Yes.
And, it's sort of near the highs. So I think the profit takings are coming in a little bit. Mm-hmm. Gold is looking good, I must say. I mean, I think it needs to hold above that 1870 level for me. But if it can, it could go on and have a run, because the war in Ukraine, and Chinese are buying gold and the Russians are buying gold. It's looking very goldy at the moment, but we know it's volatile. But the story that's interesting, and it interests me and you, because we're both chartists nowadays, was DEG, because that price action was quite extraordinary last week, and the price action is still good. Now, Gore have got up to 20% now of DEG.
Yep.
DEG's got a few things going for it, hasn't it?
It's got a big project that it's developing, right? It's still drilling a lot, so potentially some more drilling results will come through. And of course, it's got that M&A activity. So it's a triple prong interest for De Grey. So if you are playing a story, this is definitely one of the better ones, because it's got that multitude of possibilities, right? It could come from any angle. You can have someone trying to take over De Grey angle. You can have it obviously from a drilling point of angle, and you can have it from development point of angle. So I definitely got to like that De Grey as a gold to play on a trading basis.
Right, and what about the value? Because the value is high, but is that justifiable?
Look, it's a good question and hard to answer, when you're not in a production, it's difficult to answer what actual true value is. I think when you look at it, there's an element of FOMO in a lot of stories. This has probably got a slight point of that too in this. Saying that, is justifiable possibly because you've got that number of interesting angles to the story. So, and it's definitely, if you look at the actual project itself, it's a quality big project that possibly is going to be the next, well, probably the mine after Bellevue that's going to be developed.
Right. Okay. And how big would this be compared to Evolution? I'm looking at Evolution now, which is a 6 billion market cap. These guys are around 2. What could it be up? Could it get up there? Is it got enough?
No, they need to actually have much more. I mean, look, remember, Evolution's got almost 700,000 ounces of gold that they. This is why Evolution looks so attractive there, because it looks fairly inexpensive, right? Yeah. Yet the grade probably, I don't know. I mean, I'm just having a guess here. They might be looking at 200,000, 300,000 per annum type production, right? Which is probably half or even a third of what Evolution is. So it's definitely not cheap, the grade, no doubt about it. Like I said, there's an element of people are very interested because it's a good story. So I don't know how it's going to go, but it's definitely well worth trading because it is a market darling in the gold space.
All right. So if you're in that, I'd definitely be holding it and possibly, I don't know. I mean, anyway, maybe not a trade in it. Maybe if it gets over 160, but you'd be holding it because there's a good chance that Gore could come in and take the rest out anyway.
Yeah, there's always a possibility, right? I think just from a investment point of view, you're holding this because it's a good story. I mean, that's what the reason you'd hold it. It's a good story on the development path. If you believe in gold longer term, that's going to get over $2,000 plus. You're holding this.
Yeah, I mean, after all, that's why we called ourselves Equity Story.
That's right.
A good story.
Yeah, it is a good story.
Yeah. And then we started trending, which we're trending good stories. Anyway, so all right, Wolf, that is interesting. Now let's get to the trade. Yeah. So iron ore is up, looking strong. You've got maybe a buy under this 2270, and you've got your target price around say 2390 for a little trade on FMG. Now it's a little bit risky, so we're going to do a little stop loss around 2180, right? But if the iron ore price still keeps looking good, this could go higher.
Yeah, and Dave, remember we talked about coal, right? We thought it's not going to go up to $200. It's not going up to $300. It's not going to fall. It just kept going and going and going. These commodities just go on runs and falls and that no one's expecting it on. So on a short-term trade, I get it because we've got a China opening. What God knows what sort of turbo boost it's going to give to this iron ore. It's been going since $80. It's recovered to 120 already, and it still looks pretty bullish on the charts. I'm looking at iron ore. So for a quick trade up to $24, I completely understand it.
Yeah. Okay. We've got a little trade. I've just put this on now. A little target price 2390, buy under 2272. Yeah, I think it looks very, very good.
Momentum is strong.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Now, we just wanted to talk about some stories as well that are in the
FN Arena.
FN Arena.
Yeah, updates from the big brokers, right? So let's go with Aristocrat first. So Citi has it as a buy. Price target at 41.20, Dave. So that's fairly up there. And this is their commentary on analyzing the latest data. Citi continues to point out digital industry bookings appear to be rebasing, and Aristocrat Leisure continues to outperform.
Okay.
So you'd think to yourself, okay, we had that sell down now. Is it a possible bounce back up to the 34, 35? Yeah, you could see that.
Yeah, I have sort of heard that gaming is down 5% in America because of inflation, Wolfie. I was actually quite surprised that inflation would affect gaming, because most of these gamers, it's not like they just sit there on the game all day, don't they? It's not like
I've got no idea what even if there's light or dark outside.
Well, that's the trouble. What are they can't pay the electricity bill? Is the lights have gone out? I don't know.
Laughing because it's not a nice position to be in, but yeah, gambling is a tough thing. But it is unfortunate, that industry is just so strong, isn't it? That we do have this tendency to be addicted to gaming.
Yeah. Anyway, so but I'm talking about also video games as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other, they're talking about the other part of it, and that is raid bookings were up 4% in the December, which is good. This is the main big game that they've got online, right? People play.
Right. Okay. I mean, listen, technically, it's obviously not looking any good at the charts. It's very much, if you believe in the story, buy on weakness. But 40. I mean, it's a nice target price if it came off for them. AUB.
All right, Macquarie again. So let's have a look at this one. Another outperform. Price target of 24.82. All right, so up there. And the commentary is following the market up in December and following the observation that premium rate environment remains supportive, Macquarie has lifted its FY forecast by 3.1%. So they've been on actually an upgrade cycle, AUB, right? That's why we got into it as a trade, and we've got it in our fund. But what's interesting here is that in its own assessment, Macquarie has positioned itself now near the top of management guidance, right? So they are now a strong believer that they're going to come up with a pretty good update in February.
Excellent. Macquarie.
All right, so we've got next one is Macquarie, and we've got for Morgan Stanley, rates Macquarie as an overweight and a price target of 215. So no change to the forecast from them. Basically, they're talking about today's update. Morgan Stanley explains that group revenues at Macquarie stems from 35% from commodities, and coming from EMA region. And yeah, they're pretty happy pretty much with overall how things are going. So leaving it as it is. So that's pretty bullish, Dave. That's up there. 215 is up there. To me, Dave, this is one of the best top 50 stocks in ASX. I'd have it in my portfolio in a heartbeat.
Okay, and well, you've got a dividend with this as well, at 3.7%, which is, I think, grossed up maybe 5%.
Yeah, that's correct. That is correct.
So very, very respectful dividend, trading on 13 times. Yeah. Okay.
It looks inexpensive, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and remember, the management has got a tendency to add, under promise, over deliver, right?
Yeah, I like it. And look at it just breaking above the water level. Not looking too bad. Now, ORA.
Yes.
So
that's been a pretty poor performer, right? And you think to yourself, why? Why is this poorly performing, considering they had a pretty good update in August? But I think they've got an answer here. This is Macquarie again. And they've got a price target. This is another outperform, so there's another buy on them at 348 is the price target. But what Macquarie say suggests Aurora share price has been hit hard over the past year, and similar punishment for US peers could be held responsible. So they're thinking that its peers are driving this share price here. And the fact is they've pointed out that they've actually dropped more than its peers, right? So they're thinking they can't quite understand what's going on. And again,
these guys, very good, healthy dividend.
Yeah, and like they said, they are trading now 20 cents below their mean historical average as a PE stock. So they are 20% undervalued on its mean historical average now, Dave, at 296. So you're either going to get this absolutely right and you're going to be on a winner, or come February time, if they don't update well, you're probably going to go, oh, well, let's move on to something else.
Yeah, well, we did say, as this was going down, you'd be scooping it up at
absolutely.
I mean, not technically, this is just long term, right?
Yeah. If you're a if you are one of those contrarian looking for long term value, yeah, you'd probably be putting a cheeky bid on 250 and hope it sort of one day there's a bit of a spike down and you get it.
And I'd say if this pivots, Wolf, gets back over $3, then maybe the traders might be looking for a pivot buy.
Yeah, quite possibly.
All right.
So this is definitely value. Maybe technically it's not looking great, but interesting story nonetheless, right? We'll see how it reports in February.
And Suncorp just looking very sideways, very safe, little solid div, this one.
Yeah, so Suncorp, Macquarie's coming up with another outperform. So pretty all outperforms all around for the stocks we normally follow, with a price target of 15.80.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
bullish.
That is bullish, and it's got
well-
a dividend yield of 6%.
Well, you know what? If it broke back over that, say 12.15 by the end of the week, the trade's on.
And
So
I think look, it's still a very, 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 very solid dividend play at right now, because this is a dividend play in our portfolio.
All right, Wolf. Listen, thank you for that. This, really 5 quality stocks there, which are well worth having a look at and well worth considering. But we're going to go for the trade with FMG.
Yep.
And Wolfie, thank you very, very much. And what day is it today?
Thursday.
Thank you. Ever since they gave me this job, I've forgotten what day it is. Year? What year?
I'm surprised you remember a few things, but
I didn't even. Yeah, I thought it was.
What's a chart?
What's the chart? Is it 1980? What year is it? Okay, Wolf. Thank you very much, champion, and look forward to going live tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Look, good week so far. So let's help it keep going.
All right, thanks, Wolfie.
Cheers, guys.
See you, mate. Take care. Bye bye.